Hi, my name is Alyssa Moore, and today we'll be talking about some invasive species. The first invasive species we're going to be getting into is the water hyacinth, or scientifically known as Ornea crassipes. The water hyacinth averages about 12 inches in height in Louisiana. These plants have dense, fibrous, branching roots that extend from 2 to 3 feet beneath the plant. These roots help get nutrition from the water to help the plant survive. They have bulbous petioles that help the plant float upright and absorb sunlight to keep them alive. The water hyacinth is originally from South America, but it was introduced into Louisiana around 1903 during the Cotton Exposition in New Orleans. Another earlier date that it could have been introduced is in 1884. It is considered an invasive species because it forms a floating carpet on top of bayous, ponds, and lakes, which block sunlight from the submerging plants. This results in low oxygen levels and the death of the submerged plants or animals. Also, when the leaves decay, the sediment falls to the bottom of the water, which increases sedimentation rates in waterways. The water hyacinth is successful at maintaining dominance because of its fast reproduction rate. They can remain dominant until flooding helps them reproduce more. When a water hyacinth is cut down, the new broken plant can create a new colony of water hyacinths in the same area. Some recreational boaters consider the water hyacinth to be a pest because of its ability to be a hindrance, and it obstructs the navigation of their boats. Fishermen also do not like them because it makes it impossible for the fish that they want to hunt to survive underneath a bed of water hyacinths. This plant was well loved by a lot of water gardeners because of the aesthetic view, but once they plant them, they soon learn that it ruins their pond. The water hyacinth is commonly found in a lot of lower parts of the United States. These places include, well, this is more of a northern part, but these places include Washington, California, Oregon, Idaho, Arizona, Colorado, Kansas, Texas, a lot of places in Louisiana, Arkansas, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, and Florida. It is also in some northern states, but not as populated as it is in more of the southeastern states. Some places up north are New York and Connecticut. Some measures that are being taken to stop the more reproduction of the water hyacinths are cutting down the beds and spraying the pesticides. Even though they do reproduce after you cut the beds down, it is better to cut them down than to just sit and let them keep overpopulating. In Louisiana, they annually spray water hyacinth beds, which cost about $11 per acre. The next invasive species that we'll be talking about is the Mediterranean gecko. The Mediterranean gecko, or scientifically known as Hemidactylis turicis, is no longer than 5 inches long, as you can see here when compared to a thumb. Their physical features are composed of scattered dark spots on top of a light-colored dorsum. This gives their body a kind of transparent look, and their lidless eyes gives them a type of prehistoric look. Their feet help them stay on the walls that they reside on because they live on a lot of brick walls. Well, not brick walls, but buildings. And they're unique because they're nocturnal insect eaters. The Mediterranean gecko is native to Mediterranean parts of Europe. They were introduced in New Orleans from cargo ships around 1945. The Mediterranean gecko has spread all across Louisiana, but is more populated in southern parts of the state. Some harmful impacts include their fast breeding. They breed swiftly and have a very strong resistance to pesticides, which makes them what they are, an invasive species. The female gecko produces 2 hard-shelled eggs per clutch and they usually produce about 2 or 3 clutches each year. The gecko's consumption of resources and their ability to occupy different type of niches is the main concern. In Mediterranean geckos' ability to hide in cracks help them survive all types of weather. In the United States, they live in places like Texas, Louisiana, Florida, California. That's where they're mostly heavily populated. But as you can see, they're in more southern parts of the United States. Some measures that are stopping the Mediterranean geckos are putting mothballs in different buildings because it will hinder their entrance into the building, and having sticky traps laid out because it catches them quick. The last invasive species we'll be talking about is the crab, is commonly known as the crab-eating maki. It's scientifically known as the Macaca basiloris. The crab-eating maki, they are dark brown with golden brown tips. They have dark gray tails and crown hairs that go backwards. Their feet and ears are black and their muzzle is light pink. This is a baby maki, and these are more adult makis. The crab-eating maki was originated in Southeast Asia and got to Indonesia by military ships and their own migration. And this was around the early 1600s. Some harmful impacts that the crab-eating makis have on Indonesia is that they can reach high densities in forest areas, which include habitats that are distributed by humans. They don't have many predators and they can reproduce fast, which is about one young every 2 years, which makes them a triple threat. I mean, a double threat. They impact the native biodiversity by consuming a lot of the native plants, and they compete with birds for fruit and seeds. They negatively impact the environment by eating eggs and chicks from endangered forest birds. So that hinders the endangered forest birds from reproducing more, which doesn't help them being endangered. They can aggravate the negative impacts of exotic plants by eating the fruit that they produce, which is poisonous. And when they eat the fruit, they disperse the seeds into the soil and all over the environment. So specifically in Indonesia, they attack the crops in Papua, such as beans, peanuts, papayas, bananas, and mangoes. They are commonly found in Indonesia, Malaysia, Thailand, Myanmar, Vietnam, and the Philippines. Some measures that are being taken to stop the crab-eating makis are putting up some barriers around the